So
Yeah. So what's really interesting for me is that I don't have personal notions anymore. You know, I can't make sense out of, oh, there's things I should tell people or something, you know. But when I walk into a circumstance where something needs to be said that would clarify the group's understanding, that's when you speak. If somebody else says it, there's no need for me to speak. And so I'm very interested in the dynamics of a collective vision for humanity and how we can possibly generate it. And the thing that I'm most fascinated with is the Borobudur format of the lessons and walls of creation that you walk through that are the lessons, the moral codes that we live by. And so Borobudur became a mind-bogglingly expansive experience for me. I didn't know. There I am with the bell-shaped things, you know, and there the Buddhas. I discovered there are Buddhas inside there. I didn't know that when I went there, and I was absolutely blown away to see the Buddhas inside there. So then I'm looking at, well, why the Buddhas in the shell? And of course, the shells are veils of illusion that the Buddhas are transcending, and written in the entire wall of all Borobudur are all the lessons of consciousness for humanity to live by, the moral codes. So, what are our equivalents? Where is our story of the corridors of consciousness? Where does a westernized, democracy-oriented, modern liberal find the path forward to understand the balance between the good and evil that it took to create this situation, and therefore direct and inform humanity about a space that we can go to live in that will be incredibly beneficial to all beings, you know. So that's the thing. Borobudur was just fascinating, and how to get that out. So the stunning thing at Borobudur, so I'm playing. It's dawn. It's miraculous. I didn't know, and I was so glad to be ignorant. And I'm looking in there, and there's the Buddha there, and you have these little holes in the outside shell. So I try to take a picture of the Buddha inside the shell. And I get a little shot, and then I think, oh, I have an idea. So I reach in through two holes, one with my telephone and my camera, and I reach in with the other hand to operate it. And so I shoot a pan inside with the Buddha in the bell of consciousness that he is breaking through, the illusions of Maya. Woo! Ow! I was floored. What an honor.
So let's talk about the dream of creating a small retreat microcosm dimension to replicate a little bit of the Borobudur for the Western consciousness. Because
that's exactly it, Athena. That's exactly what we've got to do and attempt, is to create out of our Western lessons the moral codes that can guide us into the highest realms of consciousness. What is the American dream? And one of the things that hit me, like, what is the American dream? Well, I knew one thing for sure. It's not just for Americans. It is the dream for all humanity, the American dream. That's why the powerful symbolism of Lady Liberty is a symbol for the planet, not for America. America has only given this idea to humanity. Same thing like India gives us the wheels of the chakras. India, thank you for these great wisdom. Thank you for the spiritual enlightenment of yoga, you know. But these are just gifts you're giving to humanity. They're not Indian, as our American dream is not American. It's for universal well-being of all beings. So how do we do that? I think the key to what we need to do is create a collective hive mind participatory environment in a kiva structure or some think tank heartstorming center where all people can be expressed and heard in the collective whole. The idea is, what is the collective whole? When the old chiefs would gather and listen to the young warriors would say, hey, 10 bears, we got to go kill the crow, you know. And the old 10 bears would listen. And then the women would speak, and they'd say, well, it's not good because we lose braves and our children, we not raise children to die. You know, this is not good. And so 10 bears would listen to all this before they made their decisions. They would hear everybody collectively. And then once everyone is heard, the path becomes really clear. No, we're not really going to war. There's another way to do this. And there are great honors and services that you young braves can perform short of going to war. And this is the path forward for true enlightenment. So, and we can do this for the whole planet. But the idea of bringing in this collective spirituality and collectively aggregating it, stirring the pot, and I always love this from you, the conscious creatives. So we are conscious creatives, and what is our job? To create the new mythologies that we want to live in. And so I have the image of this great dawn horse, and she's flying around the planet right now, gathering all the conscious creatives in her belly, like a Trojan horse, but not to win a war, but to gather and stir the pots of conscious creativity for all humanity. And that's the thing. We don't think for less. We're not thinking for individuals. We're not thinking for small groups. We're thinking and caring and loving for everyone. And why not? Because we are the caretakers of the garden. And why not be the garden? Sacred garden. Why not build the sacred garden out of this disaster that we're facing called climate change? What do we need to do? Plant trees. What do we need to do? Cultivate cleaning out the watersheds. What do we need to do? Gather and hunker down with our friends in great social aggregates beyond anything we've imagined on the internet. And this is, this is where the festival culture gives birth to the permaculture.
Yeah.
The fascinating thing about the Northwest Indians, not the Chumash, the Salish and the people of the longhouses, was that they had potlatch. And potlatch was their winter game that they would spend in the lodges. They had a long time in the lodges with the fires, and they would give away everything. The game was to give away everything you owned. And so it was just this beautiful gifting culture. It was a total Burning Man.
It is like a Burning Man.
A total Burning Man gifting culture.
Gifting, it feels so good.
And it was so beautiful and exquisite. And basically the chief would be the one who would give away the most, because he would always try to be at zero, and that would be the greatest honor.
Oh.
And wouldn't you know it, that the Western mind was so annoyed by this that they made it illegal, because you weren't allowed to give everything away. So for the next 50 years, they had to hide the structure of their great winter game fest, So, I mean, the moral codes that come around and bring you to this other understanding are beautiful. I mean, why not a gift culture? Because it's my understanding we can actually run the entire planet on a new operating system that operates at 10% the energy consumption that we now have, with all the wasted energy of the landfills and the wasted stuff that we do, and the cops watching cops and all that. And you can run the entire system of the planet for 1/10 the energy output. That means climate change is over within 2-3 decades. Doesn't mean we won't have the tailings, but we can live with that. We're facing the ice ages. And just like we got through the ice ages, we got through them socially. That's how we got through the ice. We hunkered down and we built very secure lodges and we shared knowledge. And that's what we need to do now. Same thing during the climate change. And let those whirlwinds come at us. That's okay. We're looking at divine energy, divine nature. And there's nothing she's going to throw at us that isn't for the benefit of us all in this creation. So I'm trusting nature intimately and deeply. I'm trusting the earth. I'm trusting Gaia. I'm trusting the goddess and the high divine masculine consciousness in all of us to jump into this game and get transcendental as smooth and fast as we can.
Beautiful. Thank you, Kim. This is a series called Raising Reverence, and you certainly raised my frequency. I'm so excited. It's so much easier than we think to actually heal, because if we heal,
it's about the children. I mean, what do we want for them? The